In our first reading, we find Moses and the Jewish people in the desert. They've left Egypt. They've been through a lot. They're headed to an unknown place, a land promised by God. They know God is leading them because they've seen his works. But now they're in the desert, and they're tired, and they're thirsty, and they're grumbling to Moses saying, "Sure, God has done some wonderful things for us in the past, but what has he done for us lately? You see, things aren't going the way they thought they were going to go." They're beginning to have second thoughts. They're beginning to not believe in God's promise. The story of the Jewish people in the desert is a story that many of us have experienced. Have you ever been in a tough situation where things didn't work out the way you thought they would? Or maybe in a situation where you had no control? Maybe it was a loss of a job, or financial trouble, or a broken relationship, or loneliness, or sickness, or maybe the death of a loved one. These are times where we know we should put our trust in God, but like the Jewish people in the desert, sometimes we challenge God. Sometimes we fail to believe in God's promise. Now Moses interceded for his people with God. God told Moses to strike the rock and the water would flow. Moses did, and the water sprang up like a river. The Jewish people drank this water, calling it living water, because it flowed like a river. This water satisfied their thirst, but they still did not believe. Now, in the ancient world, water that was always flowing like a river was called living water because it always replenished itself. Unlike, say, the water you would find in a well that didn't spring up, that didn't flow. Now, the well is the location of our gospel reading. Jesus meets a Samaritan woman there. The woman came to just fill up her jar of water. So imagine the surprise she must have felt when Jesus began to talk to her and asked for a drink. Initially, she sort of blew him off, saying, "How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" See, back then, Jews and Samaritans didn't get along. But Jesus didn't give up on her. He told her that if she realized who she was speaking with, that she would be asking him for water, for living water. Jesus told her that if he kept drinking the water from the well, she would continue to thirst. But if she drank from the water that he had to offer, that she would never thirst again. Of course, what Jesus was offering to the woman was the gift of the Holy Spirit through baptism. Now, the woman really didn't understand. Her thirst caused her to go to the well, but it was her weakness which caused her to miss the opportunity to receive the Holy Spirit. As a sign, Jesus began to tell her about her past. The woman was so impressed that she began to realize that the man she was speaking with was a prophet, possibly the Christ. Excitedly, she left Jesus and went to town. She began to speak to others and began to evangelize. She began to witness to others about what had happened to her and that she had possibly found Christ. Now, the story of the woman is a story about us. She came to the well to draw water, but found Jesus instead. Jesus initiated the conversation with her. When he asked for a drink, yes, he was thirsty, but not for water. He was thirsty for her faith. Jesus continued to speak with her, and he gradually began to soften her heart and began to enter into her heart. She begins to realize who she is speaking with, but doesn't really fully understand what Jesus was offering her, because she left without receiving the gift of the Spirit, the fountain of life. Today, Jesus is initiating the conversation with us. He is offering us the gift of living water. It's not enough to just recognize Jesus. We have to believe. And then we must go to him and ask him for the Spirit.